Are you okay, Commander? You look a little pale.
Shepard. Commander Shepard. You need to look in a mirror. Sober up and take some responsibility for yourself.
Are you insane?
There's no shame in having a problem, but you have to get treatment.
You're not exactly what I expected, but thank you.
Mass Effect 1 is all about player choice. Are you a Paragon or a Renegade? Should the Rachni be spared? Whom do you romance? Would you capture it or just let it slip? If you're playing the game for the first time, the correct answers are whatever your heart tells you. But this is a Mothy as intended video where I take a very opinionated stance on the actual optimal way to play the game with an eye towards getting the best content later on. So how are we going to play Mass Effect as Bioware intended? The most obvious aspect is completing every quest. We're also going to maximize NPC content, which coincides but is not exactly the same thing. Because Mass Effect is a trilogy, we're also going to maximize future outcomes at all points. This video is only for the first game, but I'll point out every time that we unlock content in a sequel. We'll use all tools the game gives us for their intended purposes, for example, shredder rounds against the Rachni. And the cherry on top that justifies this whole video series, we'll do it all with batshit sequencing that minimizes or eliminates the need to backtrack or revisit anywhere. Now, we cannot hit 100% of the content in one run since Mass Effect asks us to make lots of trade-offs. If you choose to fight the drug lords, then you don't see them live to become social workers later. If you choose to not recruit Rex, his brother leads the Krogan. I only postulate that this video is one optimal way to play Mass Effect. I fully acknowledge there will be other, also correct solutions to many of our situations, and I look forward to hearing how you would play otherwise in the comments. It's also important to clarify what's not included in this run. Well, planetary collectibles first of all. Aside from Asari Matriarch writings, none of these drawn-out quests have an effect on the content. We'll earn way more money than we ever need just by selling junk. Party conversations, elevator dialogue, and news broadcasts. Different party combinations lead to little bits of banter, but there is way too much of all of these to include here. Weapons, armor, and build strategy. That's all out of scope. Except for sniper rifles, which are always in scope. Finally, talking to our party aboard the Normandy. I do perform this off-screen, but you don't need me to micromanage you through talk to Garrus, and Ashley, and Rex, and Tali, and Kaidan, and Liara 6 different times. Just hit them each time after the big missions. I should also say romance. That's up to y'all. With that established, let's create a character. We already need to decide for the whole trilogy whether it's optimal to play a male versus female and as a Paragon versus Renegade. This is not a good versus evil choice, but rather the spin you put on events. Paragons are more likely to let a bad guy go if he says he's sorry, and Renegades are more likely to serve justice to make sure he doesn't get the chance to hurt others in the future. Either way, your character is acting for the galaxy's best interests in their mind. I had way more written regarding this choice, but I'll try to keep it short. However you land on Paragon versus Renegade, you gain some content and you lose other content. What I will stand by is that Mark Meer does a great job delivering the male Paragon lines since he comes off like a do-gooder Boy Scout, and Jennifer Hale does an excellent job delivering the female Renegade lines. Gender matters less than morality, but male Shepard straight up has more romantic options thanks to Kaidan batting for both teams and what they do to some of the male romance targets between Mass Effect 2 and 3. I will say thank you to my patrons who have voted on Tali for my romantic interest in this playthrough. That romance starts in the second game, but for now the implication is to create a male Shepard, and therefore we're also going to play Paragon because of the voice acting thing. So I whip up a Shepard who looks the absolute picture of goodness and diplomacy in a threatened galaxy. Someone who inspires hustle, loyalty, respect. Welcome our beautiful, greasy boy. Does he have mustaches for eyebrows, or a third eyebrow as a mustache? Yes. He just needs a fitting name, something that says, good guy, something that screams, large and in charge. Jafar. Jafar Shepard. Pick War Hero as our psych profile, which gets a starting boost to Paragon points, and Earthborn for our pre-service history, which I think has the most Paragon points available for its associated side quest. You could argue Engineer or Infiltrator for the intended class. It's a requirement on every mission to have someone who can decrypt and hack electronics, and if that's us, we don't need to ever worry about our party members having it. But it's really not a big deal, and that would stretch our skill points early on since we do need to pump Charm as well, so just choose Soldier because sniping is way too good. The game opens aboard the Normandy. Meet Jenkins, a nice young recruit we've been taking care of like a younger brother. Go get him, Tiger. Be nice to everyone on board to generate our first couple of Paragon points. Then get dropped on Eden Prime to start our first mission. Unfortunately, our son gets shot dead by an Amazon delivery drone just a couple of seconds into the mission. But seraphic xenophobe Ashley immediately replaces him since she lost her whole squad of Jenkinses. This planet has some Geth on it, which is strange because Geth have not entered settled space in 200 years. I'm just here so I don't get fined. We fight some of their husks, who are very obviously people they've converted into techno-zombies, so I'm not sure why that's a big reveal to anybody later. Meet the doctor in charge of the excavation of a Prothean beacon, and her assistant Manuel, who has clearly interacted with the beacon and witnessed the end of humanity. I know I said we're Paragon, but knocking out Manuel earns some no downside renegade points, so give him a little tap. Our initial level ups come pretty fast. Rush Decryption on Caden until we unlock his first point of electronics, which we do need on this very same mission. Jafar's points obviously go to Charm. We reach some farmers, one of whom, named Cole, participates in a minor smuggling operation. Press him for details to earn a nice pistol for Caden, then charm him into fingering Powell as his contact at the docks. A little farther, discover that our ally, the Turian Spectre Ilos, has been shot dead. Powell steps out now and sets up our antagonist for the game by telling us it was done by another rogue Spectre, Saren. Now, because we know Powell is a smuggler, charm him into handing over a grenade mod. In a loot crate around here, they give us a combat radar mod that I stick on Caden's pistol right away. This is our first carefully placed item, as we're about to fight Geth who jam our combat sensors, except these radar mods get through the jamming. I won't call it out again, but try to keep a level-appropriate combat scanner on somebody's weapon as you go. We take a train ride and see Saren's Geth set up 4 bombs. With our combat raider and a sniper rifle, their little scattered defense is a joke, and we easily disarm all 4 bombs in time. Then there's a ton of loot crates in this area. We'll be playing a ton of Final Fantasy X minigames to open loot boxes throughout the game. You can equip better stuff that you find, but do save anything you want to sell. There's one specific vendor that we're going to want to use to maximize all of our profits. Then give Ashley a hug and touch the beacon in her stead to watch Existenz at 64x speed, which leaves us in a coma. Normandy's pilot Joker picks us up and brings us to the Citadel, a gigantic city on a space station that's basically the center of civilization. The first thing we do upon gaining control is click on random computers for trickles of experience points. Then meet Paulin and hack a computer in his office for a side quest that we'll get to in like 20 hours. Fight around the embassies, exhausting everyone's dialogue for bits of lore and XP, then fast travel to the council tower. We get a Garrus teaser on the steps, then speak to Captain Rick and Morty President Anderson to begin Saren's trial for killing Nihilus. Jafar presents his story, but my words like silent raindrops fell. The council won't convict Saren on hearsay from this random human, and we get dismissed. Afterward, debrief with human ambassador Udina and Anderson to strategize on how we can take down Saren. They offer 2 leads, the Turian Garrus and the Krogan Erdnot Rex. And this is our first delicate operation. If we recruit Rex before confronting this dude called Fist, Rex will kill Fist, and we won't see Fist in Mass Effect 2. So for now, we're only going to recruit Garrus. There are a lot of side quests to acquire on the Citadel, and a subset of them can be completed right away, Great Captain. Playing Mass Effect is like setting up dominoes. There's a lot of upfront work to do, but later everything will fall into place pretty nicely. I'll weave us through the Citadel portion as cleanly as I can, but it does take a little patience from all of us before we reach space travel, and then it takes even more patience as we visit 20 random planets before getting to the plot. Better get after it. Begin by meeting Chorban, who's surreptitiously scanning the Keepers. Offer to scan the Keepers for him for a stream of XP, and if we get them all, our prize is an email in Mass Effect 2. Guess right now how many times our reward is going to be a Mass Effect 2 email. Delan the Hanar in the Emporium sells us the Certa Foundation license. Licenses expand the pool of random stock that the Alliance Quartermaster aboard the Normandy offers for sale. It is absolutely justifiable to intentionally avoid buying the low-level licenses so that once we get endgame licenses, those items are more likely to get stocked. But that's boring, and we're really not hurting for power, so I will guide us to pick up all of the licenses. At the Asari Bang Den, the bouncer Nalina initially bounces us, but the matron directs her to admit us instead. This matron, Consort Sha'ira, has a quest for us to reconcile her falling out with a Turian general. On the Presidium, there's a Hanar trying to preach religion, and a Citadel security officer trying to dissuade it without technically violating its rights. We want to charm the officer to give up. But there's this strange chicken and egg situation with charm in this game. Mass Effect does not allow us to level our charm skill past a certain point until we have enough Paragon points. But you earn Paragon points by using charm options in dialogue. We have to eke out every point of Paragon we can and grind up our charm ceiling by finding and passing the lower level charm tests first. We can't help this Hanar yet because our charm is capped at 3, so just leave them be for now. In the wards, Morland sells the Alanis Risk Control license and an upgrade to our Metagel capacity. He has the second tier too, but it's out of our price range. On the stairs between market levels, Conrad Werner flags us down. This gentle buffoon is our Solaire. He's an optimistic good guy whom we guide and protect across the whole series, and he's the single most convoluted NPC questline. For now, be nice to him and give him an autograph. Upstairs, Expat sells us an Elkos Combine license, which besides being a license we want, is somehow connected to the long-term Conrad Werner questline. In Purple Balcony Land, Emily Wong flags us down, much like Conrad did. Be nice to her and agree to expose corruption on the Citadel. Annoyingly, we still haven't earned any Paragon points for being nice to all of these people. Then good news, Phase 1 of Diplomacy is done. Let's get some action. Just make sure you don't head to the casino Flux yet. That can get Fist killed through some weird butterfly effect nonsense. Head to Korra's den. We meet Rex as he is denied access to see Fist. Speak to Harkin the drunk cop for knowledge on how to find Garrus, then leave. I'll point out Septimus is here for the Consorts quest, but do not speak to him yet since we are charm capped out of helping him too, and there's no option to back out once we approach him. At the med clinic, Dr. Michelle is held at gunpoint by some thugs. Help Garrus kill the thugs, then Garrus joins our team. Go back to Korra's den now with Garrus. Fist is expecting us this time, and there's a sizable battle to get in. After entering his complex, some warehouse workers try to threaten us, but we can charm them into seeking better jobs. Then head in to fight Fist. Kill his 2 turrets, and he surrenders. For handling him non-lethally, we will encounter him again during Mass Effect 2. Fist reveals there's a super sweet, gentle, precious Quarian babe who might have proof of Saren's betrayal. Steal his data disk off the floor, then we've got 4 minutes to battle out of here and save the Quarian. Our meet cute with Tali is to help her defeat her assassins. The grandkids are gonna love this one. Then we get formally introduced, realize we're both trying to take down Saren, and become very quick allies. Cut to Udina's office. Tali plays the evidence, proving Saren bad, and we get our first hint about something called a Reaper. With that, we can repick the squad. Bring Ashley at this juncture. Recent events have increased our charm cap to 5, so make sure to get those points. I also spec Tali down the decryption and electronics paths as much as possible. Samesh Bhatia intercepts us now as we leave the embassies. Ashley actually served with his wife, so we get some better dialogue for that. Promise him we'll be back with his wife's body, which is being held for science. Now let's go become a Spectre. They accept our new evidence, Saren is disbarred, Tivos recognizes evil blue woman matriarch Benezia as the other voice on the recording, and Jafar is granted Spectreship so that he can go pursue Saren without red tape. This event gave us another charm point, putting us at 6 and increased the cap to 8. It's not really my place, but I question the pacing of this all. We went from famine to feast on charm real quick. Meet Garroth in this tower, a man who wants us to find his brother, whose merchant ship has gone missing in the Traverse. We'll be happy to help, but this poor guy is like 40th on our priority list. With our new high charm, visit Septimus in Korra's den and charm him to act more generally and stop spreading rumors about Sha'ira. He pays us a bit, then gives us a subquest to go visit Zeltan the Elcor and correct his mistakes. Before that, visit the med clinic. Dr. Michelle is in trouble again, this time with blackmail. We're sent to Morlan, we meet a Krogan middleman, and we get the blackmailer's real name, Baines. How good of you to blackmail us. Charm the Krogan to walk away for a huge Paragon bonus, then return to Michelle. She's grateful for the help, and from now on we get a huge bonus to sale price when selling our loot to her. It's funny, the reason for the blackmail was that she had been giving away medical supplies, and now she pays way too much for our junk. The woman is just super bad at economics. And for helping her, we also gain another email in Mass Effect 2. Cool. Also, ask her about that name we just got, Baines. We learned that it's Armistan Baines, and Ashley chimes in, hinting that we should ask Anderson about this guy. Circle back now with Emily Wong and give her Fist's floor disc. We can charm her for a bigger cash prize. Meet Helena Blake, leaning on a wall in the Presidium. She's a drug lord, working with 2 other drug lords she wants us to take out so she can rule the drug empire alone. We're sadly not able to arrest her, so accept her quest, which is another of our rare free renegade point sources. Now speak to Zeltan in the embassies and ensure him that his secrets are not going to leak. This action butterfly affected us some content about cavemen in like 14 hours. Clerk Bosker in the diplomat offices is the guy in charge of Samesh Bhatia's wife's body. He happens to have great respect for Jafar as well. Use our sway to get the wife's body released to the husband. Now, both outcomes of this quest have merit, but returning the body gets us an email in Mass Effect 2, and we're basically collecting those. Deliver the good news to Samesh, and Ashley has more kind comments about his wife. Our next stop is Citadel Security, or CSEC. The Requisitions Officer sells us a grenade capacity upgrade and the Aldrin Labs license now that we're a Spectre. At this point, Rex finally catches up with us and hands us the money from his hit job on Fist, since it was actually us who handled Fist without him. Then Rex joins the team in order to help us hunt down Saren. In the docking bay, Anderson officially hands the Normandy over to our command. He and Udina then assign us the 3 primary plot planets of Mass Effect 1. Feros and Novaria to pursue leads on Saren, and Theerum to find an Asari expert on the Protheans, who happens to be the daughter of Saren's partner. Take this opportunity to mention Armistan Baines to Anderson, and we learn Baines has turned up mysteriously dead. Anderson refers us to Kahoku, whose crew discovered the body. Mass Effect has several dozen side quests. A lot of these can be kicked off by force by visiting the relevant planet or star system, but many quests have better ways to start them by speaking to an NPC or hacking a certain computer to learn about the problems first. We're gonna get a lot of our quests in the brute force manner because it's just more compatible with our goal of not revisiting places. But this route of Dr. Michelle to Ashley to Anderson to Kahoku is the cool proper way to kick off the Missing Marines quest. Kahoku gives us what detail he can, which is not much. Then we finally have the charm to resolve the Preaching Hanar, so whisper words of wisdom to the CSEC officer and he lets them be. Head back to Sha'ira now to wrap up her quest. She offers us a fortune cookie fortune for all of our hard work, which is honestly insulting. But since we pacified Zeltan 2, she hands us a mysterious trinket with no apparent use. Gee, thank you. Flux is safe to visit now that we have Fist saved. Talk to Rita at the bar, who wants us to convince her sister to give up her undercover informant job at Korra's Den. Also meet the owner, Doran, who really would like us to gamble at the Quasar stations upstairs. Okay, we will. But what's this? A weird machine in the back seems to be funneling credits externally. Remember that. Around now is when I completed the Keeper scanning. You've been doing that too, right? Then return to Flux to see Shells getting kicked out. Shells is a Solarian using an illegal device to boost his Quasar wins in gathered data. He would like us to gather data in his stead. We'd be happy to. We might as well gamble on the high stakes machine since winning is easier with the device in hand. Shells needs 5 wins and we get kicked out after 7, so stop at 6 wins before returning the device to Shells. Then go to Korra's Den to meet Rita's sister Jenna. We cannot convince Jenna to stop informing, and she dismisses us pretty quickly. But Chelik bumps into us on the way out with a lead to meet him in CSEC. Head right there to follow up. Charm Chelik to get Jenna released from her position immediately. But Chelik would now like us to pick up some weapon mods to help out CSEC in a different way. Before leaving CSEC, meet Jalid, who's worried that Chorban, the Solarian for whom we've been scanning the Keepers, wants him dead. That's no good. In the markets, find Jax and pay him for the weapon mods for Chelik. I love how chill everyone is about this deal. Then confront Chorban. This encounter goes a lot better because we've been scanning Keepers for him. He admits the truth, that he and Jalid were both stealing data on the Keepers. Tell him to return the data he stole, which gives us a big chunk of Paragon points. Back in CSEC, charm Jalid to turn himself into his company and collect data legally. There's supposed to be an email in Mass Effect 2 for collecting Keeper data and keeping Chorban alive, but I'm not sure if doing the work for Jalid instead of Chorban will get us that email. Time will tell. Then hand over those mods to Chelik and we're done here. Remember that Quasar machine skimming credits? Follow the signal to a computer in the ward's access tunnels, then to one in Barlavon's office, and finally to an evil AI who's stealing the money to get itself installed on a starship to go ally with the Geth. Disarm its self-destruct sequence as fast as you can, and you get to keep a greater portion of the stolen credits. Then return to Rita in Flux, having rescued her sister. We get no tangible prize, except this quest contributes to Conrad Werner staying alive in the distant future. Finally, return to the Normandy in the docking bay. Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. Joker has us make a speech to our crew, which can net a few Paragon points if we're a good guy about it. With that, we're finally done with the slow parts and ready for some action. Do a lap of the ship to speak with our new crew, then head out to the Armstrong Nebula. The Milky Way, for game purposes, is divided into clusters, which are made up of systems, which are made up of planets. It's totally fine to do the quests in the Argos Rho cluster, then in the Voyager cluster, then later on come back to either of them multiple times. There's no punishment for bouncing around. But what if we could plan a route with absolutely no backtracking? We would be the most fuel-efficient road trip dad of a Commander Shepard ever. Plus, in a very real way, it would save us loading screens and ship flying cutscenes. We'll do our best. For clicking on the Armstrong Nebula, Admiral Hackett, henceforth known as Space Dad, calls us with an urgent quest that just so happens to take place right where we're headed. In this case, we've just got to destroy some Geth bases that have appeared in Alliance space. Once we enter a cluster, since we're going to do our best to finish every quest there before we leave, I'm going to just use shorthand to describe the system and the planet. So when I say to land on Vamshi-Maji, that's the planet Maji within the Vamshi system, and of course still in the aforementioned Armstrong Nebula cluster. So yeah, start there and take out a Geth base full of turrets and rocket troopers. Bring Tali on all these quests, by the way. It has no effect on content, but with her tech power, she's generally good at handling synthetic enemies, and it's also flavorful to have her fighting the Geth. While that goes down, I humbly ask you, the viewer, to interact with this video if you're having a good time. Please consider liking or commenting to help me get this video in front of more people who will also enjoy it. This one took a huge effort to research and produce, and I'm a little gun-shy about making these longer videos in case they flop, so I do sincerely appreciate every bit of help that y'all give. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. Next, we do a scan of Hong-Matar for an Asari Matriarch writing. There are 5 tedious collection quests in Mass Effect for Matriarch writings, Prothean data disks, Turian insignias, valuable minerals, and signs of battle. We don't need the extrinsic rewards for any of these, but collecting 10 Matriarch writings is somehow another convoluted piece of the Conrad Werner quest, so I will at least guide us to the Matriarch writings. I worked it out so that they're all on planets we're visiting anyway, or planets we can scan from space in a matter of seconds. Land on Hong-Kazbin for another Geth base. Easy. Land on Tereshkova-Antibar for our 3rd Geth base. Scan Gagarin Junthor for Matriarch writing number 2, then land on Gagarin-Rayingri for the 4th Geth base. This one has an interior component full of husks. There's no real sign when we're done here, just clear the deepest rooms, then head back, and fight some strong Geth who have appeared in the rooms we already cleared on our way back out. Outside, there's more Geth dropping in that we have to kill, then we learn that there's a secret 5th Geth base. Honestly, 3 would have gotten the point across, Bioware. Grissom-Solcrum just became available, so land there. It's got another base with an interior component. This fight is a little tough at low level, but winning it finally tidies up this quest. And what's this? A terminal tucked away in the back holds a big prize. A bunch of Geth data. Back on the Normandy, go see Tali, and we can grant her a copy of that data. This is actually Tali's friend quest, which we've accomplished immediately after leaving the Citadel and without even becoming close with her first. Listen, you can't buy flowers in Mass Effect, so this is the best gift we can give her. Touch the galaxy map, and Space Dad calls us to praise us for our work. Next cluster, let's go to Hawking Etta. We force another Space Dad phone call by entering. We've only had little bits of Kyle so far, but Hackett wants us to find Major Kyle. He's an ex-military officer running a cult of biotic users who, unfortunately, kind of murdered the last Alliance officers who tried to bring him home. Bring Caden on this mission as our resident biotic just for flavor. First, try to enter the compound's main building, but do not force the issue. Stay polite and charm the doorman who directs us to Major Kyle's bunker. But we can still enter the main building after this convo and nab some loot. Now hit the bunker and charm Kyle to give himself up. Kyle comes peacefully and everybody lives. Touching the galaxy map gets another praise call from Space Dad for keeping everybody alive. Now, there aren't that many required visits to the Citadel, but inventory space is not infinite, so don't be shy to take trips back there as needed to sell your stock to Dr. Michel. I chose to visit now, and there actually is a little content beyond selling that I'll walk us through. Conrad Werner caught me on the market stairs again, asking for a picture this time. Be nice and acquiesce as part of his long-term success. There's some important new stuff for sale, too. Expat still has Metagel Upgrade 2, Moorland sells Grenade Upgrade 2, C-Sec Recman sells Ariake Tech License, and D-Land sells the Devlon Industries License. Some planets are considered hazardous and hurt you if you spend too much time outside, but if any party member has Devlon armor equipped, the whole party resists hazards. Do check the ship quartermaster between planets after getting this license until you pick up Devlon armor for somebody. I happen to think the yellow Turian Devlon armor looks pretty good on Garrus. I would have liked to structure the whole run so we definitely don't visit any hazard planets before getting Devlon armor, but doing so could have forced some revisits, so I didn't really emphasize that. Hazard is also like barely a problem. Touching the galaxy map after this trip, got another call from Space Dad about a rogue VI on Earth's moon. I had this marked to trigger for hitting level 20 in the original game, but I'm playing Legendary Edition and it triggered for me at level 11. Side note, I keep playing games with multiple editions where all the content is fudged up, like Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Dark Souls 2's Scholar of the First Sin. Most errors I make in these scripts are due to the differences in versions just not being properly described anywhere online. People locked in their Mass Effect data in 2007, and trying to accurately predict when quests or upgrades become available on a newer version is an exercise in futility. I did my best. Now, this run is not completely free of revisits. I do consider content to be more important than a stubborn refusal to retrace our steps. Artemis Tau is one cluster that takes a revisit if you want to do the content right, since I do want to resolve Kahoku's missing Marines quest before he gets killed, and that's just not compatible with how late we're going to visit Theerum, a plot planet which is also located in this cluster. So land on Sparta-Edolis and follow the distress beacon to a Thresher Maw. Looks like Kahoku's Marines were tricked into a trap by this beacon. Scan Macedon-Porolon for Matriarch Riding number 3. Then land on Macedon-Shargila for no particular reason, just have a feeling. Pick up Matriarch Riding number 4 here, then do some awkward cliffside car sniping to gain access to this pirate base. Inside, there's a big pirate combat, their leader being an evil blue woman slaver. After combat, grab a ton of loot here, and a computer indicating that the slaver was actually the sister of Nisana Dantius, an Asari diplomat on the Citadel. We should go tell her about this sometime. Now follow the day and reach for the sun. We're headed to the local cluster, solar system, and land on Luna for that rogue VI quest. This one unlocks our subclass, so we do benefit from doing this one as soon as possible. Bring some technically skilled party members for this, since we will fight a lot of drones. We've got to blast our way into the moon base, then clear out 3 identical bunkers full of 12 chunky computers apiece. The VI doesn't go without a fight. It sticks a persistent toxic effect on the whole team, but Soldier class's hit point regen mitigates this. You can also put medical exoskeleton mods on the rest of your team if you have any of those to give them toxic resist and hit point regen of their own. After blowing up 36 computers, we unlock our subclass. I chose to Ratchet & Clank Go Commando since that boosts weapon damage and our assassination skill and just makes sniping even more overpowered. Our next cluster is Exodus. Visit Asgard-Asteroid X57, which is actually a whole-ass DLC. Someone has stuck 3 huge torches on the asteroid, directing it to collide with a planet full of humans. We cannot let that happen. First step, locate the body of a dead engineer to gain the missing engineer's quest, then head toward the first torch facility. Enter that facility to discover the Batarians are behind the attack. Our war hero Jafar is accustomed to fighting their kind. They send some Varen to fight us, but little ketchup and mustard Ashley and Caden have those hot dogs covered. Disable that torch and Kate Bowman calls us to fill in some lore. Simon the chief engineer meets us on our way outside and asks us to find his missing engineers. Well, the other 2 anyway. Activate a transmission tower to help us find those engineers. Find engineer number 2's body, then head to torch facility number 2, which is surrounded by proximity mines. Work our way through these, disable torch number 2, then a bunch of angry Mitch McConnells execute Kate Bowman's brother in reprisal. Go to the third torch facility, which I'm grateful to say has a unique visual theme. The indoor areas of Mass Effect 1 are very samey besides this. Disable this final torch, and Charn meets us on the way out. This guy is the Batarian's second in command, and he thinks that the leader, Balak, has gone too far with this asteroid deal. Charm Charn into peace for a big Paragon boost and access to Balak's bunker. On the way there, find the third engineer's body. Now let's take down Balak. His facility is gigantic, and I thought it was a pretty fun combat arena. After killing the final enemy here, Balak emerges. He's sending this asteroid at a human planet because he's mad about perceived slights between our races, and he's especially mad at us because of our war hero background. We let him go because he has hostages, then disable the bombs that he ungenerously left armed anyway. After stopping those bombs, Simon shows up here, and we can turn in the missing engineer's quest. Charm him for a better reward. Finally, release the hostages. Kate is grateful. So grateful, in fact, that she sends us an email in Mass Effect 2. And we actually do see Balak again in Mass Effect 3, having spared his life here. It's at this point that I finally found some Devlon armor for sale, so now we're cool to tackle hazardous planets. Travel to the Gemini Sigma cluster and land on Han-Mavagon for the first one of Helena Blake's crime partner betrayals. The base is lightly turreted, then inside is a host of organic foes and a generically named crime boss we gotta kill. Scan Paragon while we're here for Matriarch Riding number 5. Ming-MSV Worthington is our final stop in the cluster. The ship seems empty at first, but Rex realizes we're not alone. All the red cans are rigged to explode when we walk by, but as a soldier with my health regen, these can just be tanked. Turns out this ship contains a man on life support named Jacob. His brain's dead weight. He's trying to get his head straight. Find 3 computers confirming that, yep, he is, in fact, super brain dead, and revealing that his girlfriend, Julia, killed the crew to stop them from taking him off of life support. Julia attacks us because she thinks we want the same thing. We have to put her down, then we get a choice on how to handle Jacob. Unfortunately, Jacob does not send us an email in Mass Effect 2 either way, so let's just save power and unplug him. Now, there is a specific reason that I've been front-loading the side quests, besides that I would just do that anyway. Among plot planets, I want to visit Theerum last for some interesting content. The other two, Feros and Novaria, both have checks that take 12 charm. That's the maximum to fully complete their content. So I've been doing everything that I possibly can to delay doing these plot planets while I scrape together any potential sources of Paragon points to increase our charm limit. To that end, let's do another Citadel visit, bringing Ashley. Meet Kahoku in the Presidium Tower to deliver the bad news about his Marines dying to the Thresher Maw. He has no immediate follow-up. The other thing we can do is visit Nasana, having met and killed her sister who is a slaver. Tell her we know the truth about her family, and she has some special dialogue because we've already killed her sister. Because we brought Ashley, though, who is very close with her own sister, Ashley chimes in with scorn when Nasana admits that she was going to hire us to kill her sister anyway. Nasana offers us credits in payment, but we can charm her into a better prize, a license to buy prototype Asari mods. Except this doesn't seem to actually do anything, so she's ripped us off. Flying to any system now gets a call from Kahoku with a follow-up. He determined that a group called Cerberus killed his men in illegal genetic experiments, which unlocks the Voyager cluster for us to follow up. So travel to Voyager cluster and land on Yangtze-Binthu. Bring Tali on these missions because she references the events of them in Mass Effect 2 and we want that to be lore accurate. That's right, for the first time in an As Intended video, we are correcting the timeline for something that has not yet occurred. Our task is to hunt down 3 Cerberus labs, killing everyone inside. The snipers can one-shot you, so this is actually a pretty tough mission at a low level. Lab 1 contains Arachni, Lab 2 contains Thorian creepers, and the 3rd lab we check out always contains Kahoku's corpse. Turns out Cerberus got to him before we could get to them. That's very sad, we're not gonna let that go. Land on Columbia-Zac Nephron, take out some guards, then enter another Cerberus base. Wipe out a bunch of commandos, same as the other bases, then grab Cerberus data from a computer in the back. Also, apparently some young ruffians flipped over my car while I was inside that. On the Normandy, we get an immediate call from a shadow broker agent who coerces us to sell him that sensitive alliance data that we just picked up. Say hell no, and we get some Paragon points. He threatens consequences, but there are none. There's just one more quest in the cluster. Enter the Amazon system to trigger a call from Space Dad. My boy's got his own ringtone. It's the only one I know. A nuclear bomb has gone missing, but conveniently, it's turned up in this very system. Land on the gorgeous Agibinium planet. Things begin to look sus though when we follow the nuke's signal to a mine. The nuke clearly hasn't drifted here, it was brought here intentionally. Inside the mine, things are perfectly quiet until we reach a hologram of Elanos Haliat. He's some king of pirates type who's salty that his lame thief syndicate lost their assault on Elysium, and because we're a war hero, he specifically has a grudge against Jafar. Either way, this mission was a trap, and he activates the nuke on a 10-second countdown, which we take like 30 seconds to disarm by doing 3 long Final Fantasy X minigames. Escape the mine, and we have to go recover our car that he has stolen. Good thing I'm an expert sniper, and they're exposed in the valley down below. This is a slaughter. That completes the Voyager cluster, and we have now gotten every point of Paragon and Charm possible before being forced to do a plot planet. We're still short of 12. So what can we do to compromise? Well, Novaria's 12 Charm event is lower stakes than Feros's. It's only good for some XP, and it doesn't gate any content in future games, so we're gonna bite the bullet and proceed to Novaria as our first plot planet. Head to the Horsehead Nebula cluster. Scan Pax-Veles for Matriarch Riding number 6, then land on Novaria. We're here to hunt down Asari Matriarch Benezia, the voice we heard cooperating with Saren on Tali's audiolog evidence. Rex is predestined to come on this mission due to the Krogan history with the Arachni, and we take Garrus because Novaria is a hazard planet and he has that Devlon armor. If you're gonna comment about bringing Liara here, I know, just remember, everything is a trade-off. We get stopped at the docks by Mayako Matsuo and Kyra Sterling. They want to take our guns, but their boss, Gianna Parasini, buzzes us through. Gianna has some lore on the planet, but doesn't give us much help finding the matriarch. Inside Port Hanshan, meet the Hanar, Opold. He wants us to smuggle a weapon mod into port for him, which we agree to do. But more important, they sell Metagel Upgrade 3 and the Rosenkov materials license. He also sells a level-appropriate Quarian armor, which I snatch up so that I can treat my girl right. Head back to the docks to pick up Opold's contraband and stop by Matsuo again. Be respectful of her for some Paragon points and a little bit more lore on the planet. We also learn she has a strict policy against her employees doing mercenary work for the corporations here. We will soon learn it's not strict enough. Have Gianna let us in to meet Analeus, the capitalist crook in charge of the port. We can turn in Opold for smuggling, which gets us a very easy garage pass, which is a key item that we do need to advance here on Novaria. Charm Analeus to let us keep the contraband for ourselves in addition. In the cafe, moonwalk over to Malene Callis, an evil blue woman who asks us to spy on her business competitor. Shut that down for a chunk of Paragon. Then meet Lurik Keen, a Turian who was getting ripped off by Analeus, so he gathered evidence on Analeus' crimes and is now having his office ransacked in retribution. Let's help him solve his problems. We no longer need the garage pass that this would earn us, but doing this quest gets us some alcohol in a future game. And a bunch of Paragon points, I guess. Hack a computer around here to give us a quest for the Kepler Verge, then head to Keen's office. This is full of crooked cops. Charm a few of them out of the conflict, but there's a fight regardless. There's a ton of loot here, then download Keen's evidence from his computer. On the way out, Kyra from the landing dock stops us again. She is also a crooked cop, so take out her and her guards. Then, like 10 feet further, Gianna stops us. This is like the planet of people getting in our way. It turns out Gianna is an undercover internal affairs investigator, and she wants to take down Analeus. She just needs us to convince Keen to testify. So charm Keen into helping, which is worth a gigantic 24 Paragon points. Here's where we could get fancy if we came here later. With 12 charm, you're able to bring the evidence to Analeus first for a prize, charm him to keep the evidence anyway, then double cross him and turn him into Gianna. But we don't have 12 charms, so we lose out on that reward, and all we can do is turn the evidence directly into Gianna. She arrests Analeus and promises us a beer later, which actually does come to pass in Mass Effect 2. Then, after his arrest, we can hack Analeus' wall safe for loot. You can also visit Matsuo again to debrief on all the criminal goings-on. We do some light professional flirting, then she is so flustered she excuses herself to file reports. Okay, we're done talking. Let's kill stuff. Head to the garage and win a Geth fight. Then take a long, snowy drive outside with occasional stops for enemies and turrets. Maybe these are supposed to be a challenge, but we've spent only the last 12 game hours doing Mako combat on other planets, so we've had a lot of practice. When we reach the research facility called Peak 15, there's another fight in that garage. Geth at first, but then it changes to Rachni. After the skirmish, Garrus asks what the heck those were, and Rex doesn't know. Rex, the Krogan, millions of whose ancestors died in the Rachni Wars, does not recognize the Rachni. Whatever. Find the station's VI core, a super annoying self-checkout robot named Mira. Solve a Towers of Hanoi children's puzzle to turn Mira back on, then repair a 56K dial-up modem and flip on a light switch to, I guess, finish turning it on? Before we reach the tram that will bring us to Venezia, there are Rachni contaminating the decontamination area. We can have Mira override the door for us and just shoot them, but it's better XP to use electronics to hack a console and blast them with plasma. Take the tram, and Captain Ventralis meets us on the other end. His station has been on high alert ever since these Rachni fellows escaped. Speaking of, some Rachni interrupt this conversation. Now, I would say this guy has it under control, so run away, spamming the heal command so that your teammates don't accidentally contribute to the fight either. Then, after the fight, Ventralis is salty that we hid and didn't help him, so he very sarcastically thanks us for our help. This is one interaction I feel like not a lot of people will have seen. It actually took a reload to get my teammates to not help. Then they've got like a mini town over here supporting the laboratories of Peak 15. There's a super rude and unhelpful blue woman, Alestia Ilos. This Elcor merchant's inventory seems like it was locked in at a level below our own, so he's actually skippable. To proceed from here to the labs where Venezia is, we will have to go through maintenance. That route starts by helping the station doctor, Zev Cohen, to treat a bunch of scientists who are dying to toxin exposure. Charm him for more details since the toxin is a corporate secret, an illegal bioweapon named Thoros B. Thoros B was designed originally to kill an exotic species that they found on the frontier. From the name, I bet they're totally talking about the Thorian that we're going to meet later on Feros. It's cool that we went here first to foreshadow that. The game wants you to talk to Ventralis again to get med lab access, then we can go mix the cure in the lab. Alestia stops us on the way out to try and murder us because evil blue woman. I ding her in one with Assassinate, which always feels good against named enemies. Dr. Cohen says, show me the cure, then awards us his maintenance access pass. We can also stop in once more at Ventralis to file a complaint about Alestia. Now just head through maintenance and we are very suddenly facing down another evil blue woman, Matriarch Venezia herself. She psychically opens 3 doors to send enemies at us, which leaves her absolutely winded. Long-winded, I should say. With her back against the wall, she is all of a sudden very interested in having a negotiation. Lady, the time for that was before you sent all of your goons to kill me. She divulges how to get to Ilos, just in case we feel like heading there for some reason at some point. Then she shows her true colors and we fight her directly. I end things in a single shot. After this fight, we meet the Rachni, who are just sweet, misunderstood little guys. This queen handles negotiating appropriately. Her first concern is for the feral, wild-grown Rachni that she wants us to delete because they're a danger to others. Only then does she ask what will become of her. That's just good leadership and motherhood. Rex very weakly dissents to saving them, but for the content in future games, we have to let the queen go free. Rex is remarkably level-headed about restarting the Rachni race, given we couldn't even bring him to meet Fist or he would insist on shooting him dead. Now, there's just one more piece of Novaria. Visit the Hot Labs to handle the rogue Rachni children that the Queen just warned us about. Russian Tim Robinson is slumped over in a chair because he used all of his per diem on Dan Flash's shirts with the complicated patterns. He gets Rachni'd, then we initiate some kind of self-destruct thing, shoot our way out, and hear a little boom clap as we ride the elevator to safety. Step on the tram, and we're warped right to the Normandy, finished with plot planet number 1. Only 40 minutes into the video. In the meeting room, Garrus suggests picking up Liara since she might have a lead on where Saren is going. And Ashley, completely reasonably, is the only voice in the room to point out, hey, that's the daughter of the evil boss we just fought. Maybe it's a security risk to bring her on board? Then the council calls, and they're bitchy regardless how we handle the Rachni Queen, but we can claw 2 Paragon points depending on how we reply. And guess what? Novaria, with its multiple large Paragon point rewards, has pushed us over the threshold to finally allow level 12 charm. Snap that up, and we're no longer afraid of going to Feros. Except that doing Novaria unlocked a whole suite of content now that we've met the Rachni, so we have to clear some side quests first. Let's go. Head to the Styx Theta cluster and land on Acheron-Altahe. Drive to a bunker surrounded by Rachni tunnel breaches. Inside the tunnel, clear more Rachni, then find a comm, a mayday from a Lieutenant Durand. We'll have to visit her new moon on Monday. Pop on over to Erebus to find Durand holding out against a Rachni breach. We've got to do tower defense for 3 rounds to help her team, and we can forego the Mako to have it power up some turrets. Hook up the car, then spend 5.5 minutes sniping Rachni to win. After the 3rd wave, speak to Durand. She's been fighting for 26 hours straight and is very glad to have some relief, which she clearly needs because she hallucinates the ghost of her dead soldier telling us about a Rachni tunnel underground. Head to said tunnel and kill a bunch more Rachni, including some elite versions to finish out the planet and the cluster. No need to even revisit Durand. By now, I've spoken with Garrus enough to activate his friend quest, so the Kepler Verge cluster is now open for business. It's a close neighbor of Styx Theta, but the jump route is comically long. Upon entering, Space Dad calls about some dead scientists. Let's start with that, on Newton-Ontarum. Our target is a Merc base. Wipe that out, then in the back room find Corporal Toombs holding an evil Cerberus scientist at gunpoint. Cerberus was doing nasty human experiments on Toombs, but he managed to escape because somebody has already destroyed a bunch of Cerberus. That someone was actually us earlier in the Voyager cluster. Charm Toombs that arresting the scientist will hurt Cerberus more than executing him. Both of these men live to testify against Cerberus in Mass Effect 2, and Toombs even sends us an email. Space Dad praises us afterward for saving both lives. Then scan Clencori Clenross while we're here for Matriarch writing number 7. It's at this point that I had crossed 80% Paragon and got another call from Space Dad unlocking a quest in, and therefore the whole cluster, of Hades Gamma. Add it to the list. But first, still in the Kepler Verge, fly to Herschel-MSV Fidele for Garrus's friend quest. Battle through some reskinned husks, then meet Dr. Hart. This guy is known for doing nasty organ harvesting of live subjects. Convince Garrus that we're okay to place this cardiac doctor under arrest, but he goes crazy on us anyway, and Caden shoots him dead in like 5 frames. With some closing words to Garrus, we're done in the Kepler Verge. Continue on to Hades Gamma. Bring Caden along on the missions here. Kekas-Shohei has a cluster of 3 Matriarch writings all in one spot that get us to 10 and close out this annoying collection. From here on out, we can get straight to business any planet that we land on. The other important thing here is a base full of drugged up scientists we must avoid killing while killing a ton of biotic terrorists. This took a reload for me since Caden and Garrus are explosion happy and the scientists are fragile. And it took another reload since the biotics managed to chain ragdoll me and I got wedged in the environment. But with some effort, we finally get a run where no civilians die and I don't get stuck in the walls. Aboard the Normandy, having saved every scientist, Space Dad is very proud of us. Next is Antaeus-Treben. There's a mine full of husks to clear out. Somehow, a couple husk-making dragon's teeth ended up on this planet despite being very far from Geth lands. I'm actually unsure what the explanation is for how these got here. If you have the answer, I'm curious to know. Head to Dis-Klenzal for the second of Helena Blake's crime partner betrayals. It's a mine full of nonverbal mercenaries. Pretty low-effort design, honestly. The final mission in the cluster is Farinata-MSV Ontario. Chairman Burns of the, Space Congress, has been taken hostage by a bunch of biotic terrorists seeking reparations for the medical complications of their implants. Burns spurns their concerns, but Shepard earns the trust of the terrorist leader. Because we brought Kaidan, he reassures them that they can trust Jafar to see that Burns addresses their plea. And he actually does. He tosses a bone to the L2s, and we get an email about it in Mass Effect 2. For handling the situation peaceably, another praise from Space Dad. Sorry to report, we have one more cluster revisit. We gotta go back to the Horsehead Nebula now. Head to Helena Blake's base in Fortuna-Amaranthine, having eliminated both of her associates. Threaten to arrest her, then charm her into walking out with her life. We'll actually find her doing social work in Mass Effect 2. Much better than an email. Strenuous-Zawin is a hazardous planet. There's a merc base here full of some sturdy Krogans and men. Our target is the body of Captain Willem, the brother of that Garroth guy we promised to help for Emma forever ago. This completes the cluster. We got one more cluster to handle before we can do another plot mission. It's Argos Rho. Dock at Gorgon-Unidentified Space Facility, a Cerberus facility that has been sending out supply drops tainted with Rachni eggs. Bring Rex for the best comments. We have to set a bomb and run out on a very tight timeline. This place is a dark maze, so I would run the route at least twice to make sure you're solid on it before starting the countdown. I only had 5 seconds left after practicing, and that's after dying on my first attempts too. Next is Hydra-Metgos. For entering the system, we get a scrambled distress call. Better land and help out. Well, the signal was a Geth trap. Get the heckin' car keys and cruise up the block. The Geth actin' shocked getting shot on the spot. For our last task at Argos Rho, head to Phoenix-Tuntau for Rex's friend quest. You can run this whether or not you actually get the quest from Rex for what that's worth. Do bring Rex, and as always, someone who can decrypt is particularly required here. This hidden structure has some pirates inside and out, backwards and forwards with my heart hanging out. Some jerk Turian named Tough Actin Tenactin is holding onto Rex's family armor here. Wipe out the base and hack into a safe in the back for the Urdnot armor, completing the mission and the cluster. Okay, that was a ton of side questing, all locked directly or indirectly behind Novaria. The good news is we've done a solid 85% of the side content by now. But for now, we do have important Citadel content, having completed a plot planet. Rear Admiral Mikhailovich stops us as we deplane. He's a super judgy military officer who thinks that our ship is a waste of resources, and he inspects it with a harsh eye. For every criticism he launches, we can rebuff him with a charm, and he begrudgingly concludes that his report will be less negative than it could have been. This man is my spirit animal. Annoying journalist Kalisa Al-Jalana accosts us next. Agree to an interview and resist the actual option they give you to punch her for her unflattering questions. Just charm your way through. In the Presidium Tower, we can finally give Garroth the sad news about his brother. The only reward is like a few Paragon points we're long past needing. Emily Wong is here too, and she wants us to do more under-the-table investigations. This time, she wants us to plant a bug that might implicate the traffic controllers. Tell her we will help, then have a change of heart. Do a sneaky 360 and moonwalk back to her and tell her we decided not to help since it could lose hardworking people their jobs. She surprisingly sees our point of view and is pretty cool about it for a nice reward. In the financial district, a woman and her brother-in-law are arguing about whether to get gene therapy for her unborn baby. Charm them into getting the therapy, and we will see Rebecca with her healthy baby in the next 2 games. Then visit Cora's Den for a side quest based on our personal history. As an Earthborn, this Finch guy wants to blackmail us about a gang we used to run with, unless we get his hate crime committing friend out of jail. How about no? Tip off the guards to instead increase security on Mr. Hate Crime, and Finch gets peeved. Uno reverse him with Charm for a chunk of Paragon points, and that is our personal history quest handled. In the markets, Expat sells an Armax Arsenal license and a grenade upgrade. Moorland downstairs sells the Geth Armory license, which are some of the best weapons. And in between those merchants, we get Conrad's final encounter for this game. He wants to be a Spectre like us, but we would prefer if he stayed alive, so gently persuade him to instead cultivate his garden back home. Grab one more license for Ceres Council from the Hanar, then we're done on the Citadel. The rest of the game is gonna fly. Space Dad praises us for handling that Al-Jalana interview with a sense of poise and rationality. Enter Attican Beta for yet another Space Dad call about a downed drone the Geth are trying to recover. It's in Hercules-Eletonia, which is a Haz planet. First, head to the Chicago Bean to scan it for XP. Then remember getting that mystery trinket from the Asari consort? We can use that here, somehow, to get several paragraphs describing a vision of Prothean ships observing humanity in its infancy. Drive to the downed probe, and it turns out its data module was stolen by monkeys. There are clusters of monkeys around the planet we can try to check for possession, but the monkey who holds the data is predetermined, and it's none of these. The northernmost monkey nest surrounds a mine entrance, and the deepest monkey in that mine is our MVP, most valuable primate. By searching the monkeys instead of killing them, we earn a nice Paragon bonus. But we need conflict, so the Geth make it here just as we're leaving for quite a battle. By the way, could we be making renegade choices by now? Yes, because our charm is maxed out, it's now acceptable to do renegade things if you want to. It can just feel a little bit bipolar if your Shepard switches back and forth. The fact that we need to practice being Paragon to let us pass the difficult charm checks in the endgame does make sense for Shepard's character growth perspective, but as an unfortunate consequence, you kind of do get punished early on by the game's systems if you switch hit. Having 12 charm and 0 intimidate is much, much better than having 11 charm and 11 intimidate. Alright, we're actually ready for plot planet number 2, Feros. This planet, like Novaria, has a 12 charm test on it, but this one has implications in future games, so we did need to start with Novaria so that we would have enough charm by the time we got to Feros. Land here and fight to the Zoo's Hope colony, where the colonists are all acting sus and complaining of migraines. You can harass this sick woman for a couple of Paragon points. Say hi Dan to Fidan, which begins a Geth incursion. Defeat the ones who come, and fish the rest out of some tower, which is really more of a staircase landing. Then return to Fidan for lore on the colony, and he forwards us to Exogeny headquarters to learn why the Geth are active here. Grab a bunch of side quests too. Fidan wants us to kill more Geth, Matcha Doyle wants water restored, Devin Reynolds wants us to kill a dog, and May O'Connell wants some power cells. Ledger the Solarian is open as well as a merchant, and he sells the Haliat Armory license. Let's clear out all those quests in an efficient manner. Start in the tunnels up ahead, flip some water valves, then reach a 4-way intersection. To the right, killing a few Geth satisfies Fidan's quest. To the left is the dog and the power cells. And up ahead is the final water valve for all 4 quests done. We also meet Ian Newstead, a migraine colonist who gets closer to spilling the colony's secret than anyone has before. If you continue asking him questions, a couple of Geth eventually attack, which we do want for the XP. Drive the Mako down a long Sonic 2 special stage and meet a cluster of besieged Exogeny employees. Gavin Hossel here has a side quest for us. Then meet Ethan Jong and Juliana Bainham. Juliana says her daughter needs rescuing from Exogeny HQ, but Jong, as a hardline company man, is worried we might uncover company secrets if we poke around. Do another Sonic 2 special stage, then meet the daughter Lisbeth alive and well. She hands us her ID badge and introduces the concept of the Thorian, a big ancient plant that mind controls people. Inside the Exogeny HQ, a VI fills in more Thorian Lorian, enough to learn that Lisbeth was holding out on us. Fight a bunch to reach a Geth church that Tali has comments about, then find a computer for Gavin Hossel's quest. 2 more computers in this area give us 2 more side quests. Close a door so fast that it cuts a Geth ship in twain, then drive back to the Exogeny holdouts with Lisbeth. Ethan Jong is prioritizing Exogeny profits and reputation over the survival of Zoo's Hope colony. He's willing to let them die, and he has one line here related to our war hero background. Now, most of my As Intended runs have had one single huge central problem to solve that drives the entire run. Getting the Flame Resist ring in Demon's Souls, a Flower Festival dance partner in Stardew, the Ring of Betrothal in Bloodborne. In Mass Effect, everything so far has been designed around getting enough charm skill to pass Ethan Jong's 12 charm event right now. Charm him into standing by the Zoo's Hope colony. Turn in Gavin's quest, which is actually another part of Conrad Werner's ongoing quest. Then Juliana hands us an upgrade that makes our grenades non-lethal against mind-controlled colonists. Let's go handle the Thorian. After encountering one enemy, make sure to tell your squad not to shoot the colonists. There are 16 of them, and we must incapacitate them all using Juliana's gas grenades or melee attacks. Put these colonists to sleep, then Fidan visits the self-checkout, then we head downstairs to meet the Thorian, who gives up just a little bit of lore before starting a boss fight. Shoot a bunch of plant nodes and evil blue woman clones to defeat the boss. Once we've killed the plant, meet Shiala, from whom the clones were being made. She fills in more lore, then we must spare her even though she was a Saren helper. We'll see her again in Mass Effect 2, and because we talked down Ethan Jong, this colony will thrive and join the war effort in Mass Effect 3. And that is Feros done. On our ship, the crew debriefs, and the Council wants another report. Their reaction to saving the colony is mixed, which is frankly a step up from their negative reactions to the Rachni question. Touch the galactic map, and the Council calls again. Really feel like they could have tacked this one onto the last call. Having done 2 planets, they've now located Saren's base on Virmire, which I would love to go destroy. Shame then that Feros also unlocked a few side quests like Novaria did. The Maroon 5 cluster is suddenly available. Land on Vostok-Notocrux and fight a facility full of Thorian creepers. Dr. Ross is in the back, guilty of illegally producing these creepers. Try to arrest her, but Ross and her mercs would prefer to face trial by shootout. Girl, you really got me bad. Now I'm gonna get you back. Matano-Chaska has a building full of Geth husks. That's it. This one was just kill a few husks. Our final Maroon Sea visit is husky as well. Call it Balto. Visit Caspian Sea-MSV Cornucopia to kill a bunch more husks and click a computer in the cockpit to close out the quest. And the cluster. The final cluster. Y'all, we are finally done visiting piddly side planets. We can finally start playing Mass Effect. At this point, choose either Kaidan or Ashley and conspicuously remove all of the weapon and armor mods from them and replace their gear with the lowest level trash you have available. It's time to visit Virmire. Your team does not matter for the first driving section. Don't worry about stopping for loot in the driving parts either. Make it through 3 gatehouses, disabling some anti-air guns in the second gatehouse so that Joker can land the Normandy at the Solarian camp, whereupon we meet Captain Kirahe. He reveals the facility's purpose is to breed Krogan soldiers for Saren, and that they've engineered a genophage cure. Shepard knows we cannot allow Saren to breed a Krogan army, and Rex stomps off mad since he doesn't want us to destroy a genophage cure. Once we gain control, visit Rentola, who has a little shop selling the Armali Council license. Okay, now go calm down Rex. We need to not be forced to kill him since there's excellent Rex content in the next 2 games. The easiest way to talk him down is actually to have never recruited either Garrus or Liara. We're about to lose a party member and the game does not allow our roster to go below 3. Rex could be charmed or intimidated to fall in line, but we've already earned his trust by retrieving his family armor, so Rex believes us when we reaffirm that we're destroying the facility for the right reasons. With Rex pacified, return to Kirahe, who now has a plan. We're gonna plant a nuclear bomb in Saren's labs, while his team assaults the front to distract the Geth. He needs Kaidan or Ashley to support his team. This choice does not kill the person, so don't worry yet. I sent Kaidan. At this point, reform the squad. Bring Rex, since we did promise him that he will be there when we take down Saren, and still bring Tali for Geth killing. Kirahe's team is up against it, but with some specific actions and support, we can keep them alive. First, activate a control panel on the top of this comm tower. Then shoot down the satellite dish at the top of the uplink station. From here, go northeast to the drone fueling platform and blow up all the drones. Finally, we arrive at Saren's base. We can enter through the sewers or the upper level. Upper level is better for minor reasons. There's one last action to save Kirahe though. Choose to disable the alarms rather than allowing them to trigger on Kirahe's team. There are 2 Solarians you can meet in this section, but because we entered via the upper level, it is Solarian Lieutenant Ganto Imnis that we meet first, who teaches us about Reaper indoctrination. Free him and his pals. Then circle downstairs to meet Private Mentos Freshmaker. He seems off, but we recognize the signs of indoctrination thanks to having met the other guy first. Regardless, it's the Paragon thing to free him and his friends, but because these ones are indoctrinated, they attack us. Proceed through the Krogan labs, killing Dr. Droyus. Meet evil blue woman Rana Thonoptis, who is very much indoctrinated, but sparing her life yields content in future games. Run forward, touch another Prothean beacon, then put on headphones because Sovereign's voice sounds really good in headphones. Seriously.
Of blood and flesh. You touch my mind.
This moment changes everything in Mass Effect as the team learns about the Reaper threat. This gigantic robot kills. He's gonna gun down the block, he's gonna fire at will. Afterward, there's a little more combat to reach the spot where the Normandy lands and Ashley lugs the bomb off the boat. Kaidan calls in that he needs rescue from the anti-air gun tower, and Ashley needs time to arm the bomb anyway, so we're off to rescue Kaidan. But as we reach the tower, more Geth reinforce at Ashley's position. We can only rescue 1 teammate from their Geth problem. Pick now who lives. The intended survivor for Mass Effect 1 is Kaidan. For 2 reasons. 1, he does electronics, he's straight up more useful. And 2, he is a more flexible romance target as either gender of Shep can romance him as of Game 3. Fight our way forward, then Saren coasts in on his space surfboard for a tense battle of wits. Saren is all in on trying to prove his worth to the Reapers so that they keep him alive, but he can't see that he's already been indoctrinated by them. Try to charm him to reason, but he's beyond help. I'm pretty sure a boss fight starts now, but I just turboed out 2 assassinates and it was over before I could really be sure. In truth, Ashley's death was locked in the moment that we sent Kaidan to go with Kirahe back at the encampment. See, whoever you give to Kirahe ends up in the AA tower. And it's better to rescue the AA tower person, because we get an extra cutscene of the bomb teammate doing a last stand, but not vice versa. That's exactly the kind of stupid edge that we go for in these runs because it's more content. So yeah, whoever you prefer to live, you should send them with Kirahei's team originally. As Saren pulls a bad guy getaway and our team departs on the Normandy, we get a cutscene of Ashley making a last stand against the Geth until the bomb blows. Aboard the Normandy, the mood is somber. The crew is looking kind of small in this big meeting room. Try to inform the council about the Reaper threat, but like a Goosebumps book, none of the adults believe us about the scary monsters and nice sprites. Since we saved the Solarians, Rentola is in our ship now, selling our 4th grenade and Metagel upgrades, and Kirahei is here too, with some kind words about Ashley's sacrifice. A short Citadel trip is needed at this point. The CSEC requisitions officer now sells me the Casa fabrication license. Michelle sold Metagel upgrade 5, and I hit the money cap now, selling my junk to her. Delan the Hanar sells grenade upgrade 5, then we get to visit another plot planet right away. No nonsense. Return to Artemis Tau, landing on Knossos-Theerum. I'm not sure the team matters for this one. Theerum starts with a driving section, but you can invent a big shortcut over the lava near the start. Drive and shoot Geth until we're forced to park the car, then just shoot Geth. Near the mines, there's a pretty fun combat arena. Then head inside the mine and battle until you meet a rare, non-evil blue woman suspended in a sphere. Because we came here after the other 3 plot planets, Liara's been stuck in there for quite a while. She's now hallucinating and believes that we are a figment of her imagination. This is one interaction I wanted to capture on this run because it's pretty uncommon and funny.
If you're real, find some way past the barrier curtain. Find some way to deal with the Geth. Then use the control panel to release me. If you're not real, leave me alone. I'm tired of talking to myself.
I guess we can rescue her, but she'd better not touch my mind. Do a fight, pass the same minigame as that credit funneling AI back on the Citadel, then elevate inside her room like Goofy coming on stage during the Powerline concert. Liara finally realizes that we're not hallucinations at this point, and we touch a button to let her go. Exactly then, a Krogan Battlemaster appears, and Liara begs us not to let them take her, which is again a consequence of how late we came to Theerum. You heard the woman. Let's fight this group and escape to the Normandy with Liara. Our new guest is immediately a bad fit with the crew, acting very judgy of Joker just for telling a joke. She must be jealous that he has an actual personality. Liara has spent 50 years trying to figure out what happened to the Protheans, but we've already figured everything out. Tell her that we've already learned about the Reapers, and she gets really defensive.
Sovereign, the cipher, a Prothean beacon. I'm sorry, this is all a bit overwhelming. I need a moment to collect myself. I have spent most of my adult life investigating the Prothean extinction. Decades of intense academic study and field research. And for what? I never thought it would end like this. You show up and tell me all the answers just fell into your lap. It isn't fair. All those years wasted.
There's a rogue Spectre out there looking to destroy the galaxy. So quit whining and help me stop him, or I'll drop your ass back in that volcano.
Then, against my desires, Liara invades Shepard's brain anyway to discover that the conduit Saren seeks is on the planet Ilos. And now Liara is just like de facto on our crew? I know I'm being kind of mean to Liara, but I always just disliked how the marketing departments at Bioware decided she sells well and the game just crams her down your throat. Touch the galactic map to head to Ilos. Except, who the heck is this paging me at 5:46 in the morning? It's the Council, and they want me back at the Citadel to discuss battle plans. Except they're shrewd, and that was a trap. The Council does not want us acting rashly on this Reaper threat that they don't fully believe in yet, so they called us here in order to ground our ship. Jafar does some sulking, but Anderson has a plan. Before meeting him, the CSEC requisitions officer sells Spectre Master Gear now, which are some very nice guns. Also meet Elias Keeler, who wants help getting some extra stimulants to do his job better. Honestly, Elias, I get it, but we still have to charm him into getting help. In Purple Balcony Land, Charles Saraceno of the Anti-Alien Party wants a political endorsement from us. Deny him this twice because Paragons are much more about multiculturalism, and he's actually pretty chill about our rejection. Then on to Anderson. He can get our ship released in one of 2 ways, sneaking into the Citadel Control Center or into Udina's office to change some orders. We can choose or allow him to, but really the outcome doesn't matter. He would choose Udina's office if we allow him to choose, so instead, make that our choice beforehand, and he's glad that we're on the same page. With that, the Normandy is liberated, and we're headed to Ilos. There's a really corny cutscene about landing zones, and are we gonna make it? Then of course we make it. Squad up. Bring Liara for her Prothean expertise. I had to do all of her level ups from scratch here, and I gave her whatever spare equipments I had on hand. Ilos has a ton of fighting, and it's a bit of a maze with a bunch of loot in it, but do not worry about full clearing Ilos since this is the end of the game and we've already hit the money cap. Meet a damaged VI with a warning about the Reapers. This is the Protheans version of the Liara hologram that gets left behind in the non-ending if you shoot the stupid ghost kid at the end of the trilogy. Open a door and get a Mako segment. It's on this drive that we get some of the Liara Prothean payoff dialogue.
I do not think Saren is behind this.
The car gets stopped by a wall of light to Shepard toward another VI, this one not garbled. Its name is Vigil, which seems like a pun because it's a VI, but that pun only works with English spelling, so I'm not sure how the Protheans arrived at that. Vigil fills in all the remaining Reaper lore and tells the story of the Prothean downfall. It hands us a file to upload on the Citadel that yada yada is going to help us kill Sovereign. Then we're ready to go, but Liara asks to stay and talk to the chatbot some more since this is the best chance anyone has ever had to learn from the Protheans. She needs to sort out her priorities. Sovereign and the Geth assault the Citadel, and the Council is in danger. We only have a few seconds to blast through the conduit ourselves and onto the Citadel. Sovereign latches onto the Presidium Tower, and the elevator stops for us, so we have to put on helmets and rush the tower from the outside. This section is just one long shooting gallery where having a sniper rifle feels real nice. Saren is remarkably coherent, and Jafar tries to talk him down. Now, because we charmed him on Virmire, he started having doubts about whether he was indoctrinated by Sovereign. Sovereign sensed these doubts and subjected Saren to more implants to tighten its control. Charm Saren into trying to fight this control. The way I see it, we don't manage to convince him per se, but the fact that his implants punish his brain for even considering our words is proof in itself that our point has merit. Do one more charm and Saren sees our point and claims the only redemption left to him. Upload Vigil's virus, and we open a call to Joker. Then we get a choice. Save this random ship of blue women with the Council on it, or blow up Sovereign. Except Sovereign dies either way, so this decision is actually, do we want to save the existing Council or reform a new one that is more favorable to humans? Seen that way, it's clear we've got to save the Council. Saren's red skeleton comes back to fight us, and this is the only boss in the game that takes more than a few seconds to snipe down. Not much more, though. Then the Normandy blasts Sovereign to bits. Some of the debris looks like it's gonna hurt us, but everyone makes it out okay. Huzzah! In a hopeful ending scene, the Council is grateful humanity came together to save the Citadel races. They offer humanity a seat on the Council, and our final decision of the game is whether to endorse Udina or Anderson. This has no real effect though, and Udina gets the seat in Mass Effect 3 anyway, so let's just put him in place now. Even though my true choice would have been Rear Admiral Mikhailovich. And with that, we're done with Mass Effect. Phew, this script ended up a good deal longer than I hoped. And this is after I cut out some segments about the trade-offs and route planning that had kind of gotten preachy. If you play this game without a carefully planned route, it's going to take a lot longer as you bounce from system to system doing revisits and checking out every map dot on every planet just in case it's content you need to do. Key items were not nearly as big in Mass Effect as in other games played as intended. Devlon anti-Haz armor kind of counts, the combat scanner at the beginning of the game does count, and selling out Opold for a fast garage pass on Novaria also kind of counts, but itemization overall didn't really drive this playthrough. Order is much more dictated by which planets you visit first. I will say Theerum is almost certainly the actual first planet the devs intend. It's short, you gain a team member, and it doesn't need any tricky morality thresholds. I chose to do it last to show y'all the Liara hallucinating content, but Bioware seemed to really love Liara, and they probably do mean for people to collect her at the beginning. Frontloading the side quest is something I've been conditioned to do from Final Fantasy games, which are all too happy to lock you out of content permanently if you don't do it immediately upon gaining access. Mass Effect has a wider window when the quests are doable, but I think it does still encourage doing side quests early and in big chunks, since you're given so many things to do on the Citadel before being let loose on the Milky Way with a full quest log. And I think that's a bit of a shame. Aside from the big problem of side quest chunks being boring, it leads to the player getting way too strong for the story missions, and an overall lack of surprise and wonder. You meet the Rachni before Novaria in the Cerberus labs on Binthu. You've seen Husks and Geth 1,000 times, even the tough ones like Colossi, so the combats on Feros and Ilos don't feel important. If the Geth are just everywhere across the damn galaxy by now anyway, I don't really feel the impact of Geth showing up to assault Zoo's Hope. That's just Tuesday. And yet, on the other side of that coin, something is gained too by saving all the plot planets for the late game. Mass Effect suffers from something my group is actually running into a lot in the board game Frosthaven. The sheer amount of options you have tends to lead to really large time lapses between acquiring a quest and doing it. By completing the plot missions in a tighter grouping toward the end of the game, it's actually a lot easier to follow and therefore care about the plot. I think many would agree with me that the writing is the biggest strength of the Mass Effect series, and with such interesting writing, perhaps allowing the plot to shine really is the intended way to enjoy Mass Effect. Thank you so much for watching. This was a huge video, but it was mercifully straightforward to produce once I solidified the dang side quest list. If you'd like to see more Mass Effect, let me know. I'm pretty new to the series, and I still have Andromeda to play, but it's an IP that I'm very happy to make content on. Thanks very much to my patrons. Your support means the world to me. My patrons get access to production updates, previews of coming content, and behind-the-scenes vlogs about the process behind these long-form videos. It's a good time, and I would love to have you over there. Aside from that, do please touch some good buttons for me if you want to help me thrive on YouTube. Y'all seriously make my day when I get the little push notification and it's a nice comment coming in. The jury's still out on what's next. All I can say is that after this marathon of a video, it's not going to be nearly as long.